Okay, and I'm launching phase 2 of my OS6 style library. So I wanted to do a couple of short videos just to kind of explain some of the new functionality, as well as the new location. So I did launch fet263.com, thanks to my patrons for helping make that possible. So I've moved from just a AWS bucket to an actual website. So a big step. But there's a lot of new functionality in phase 2, and there's actually a lot more coming. But I wanted to show. So this video will be just on some of the controls that have been added for the new preview. So one of the big changes to the library now is I've integrated Frederick's style editor preview into the library, so you can actually see your blade effects as you build them. And there's a lot of new controls. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to choose the main blade. So this is the real flame with the responsive flame control. The controls now here along the top, as well as a few new buttons, actually lets you interact with the blade. That's one of the biggest features of the hyper responsive, the responsive, and the interactive effects, is the ability for them to react to blade angle, twist angle, how fast you're swinging, the change in swing speed, which is the acceleration, how hard the clash happens. So I wanted to be able to make it so you can actually see those effects in real time and play with them. So I've added these controls to the code to make this all possible. So in particular, this blade style reacts to blade angle primarily. So when your saber is parallel, it's going to be about medium speed and full. If I start to tilt down, you'll see the blade will actually start to slow and shrink. And the preview is going to react in real time until you're pointing straight down. And this little guy shows you which way you're pointing. That's obviously the smallest and slowest the flame will be. Now, if you bring it back up, you'll actually see it will expand and speed up until we're pointing straight up, in which case it's at its fastest and most intense. So now you're able to actually preview that and see how that works just using this. So you're just going to toggle. You can either click or drag. So if you drag, it does it more like as if you're really moving it, whereas if you just want to jump around, you can click it. The other thing, obviously, is right now I have Real Clash selected. So Real Clash sets your clash effect based on how hard the clash is. So if I set a light clash and do my clash effect, you'll see it's a quick, small burst. If I do medium, you'll see a bigger, longer burst. And then if you do something really hard, you'll actually get almost a full blade. So this lets you see how Real Clash actually views based on how hard the clash is happening. And then lastly, battery level styles are now integrated. So you can actually activate one. I have the percentage blade active that's selected down here. Now, the way the buttons work is based on the mode, but also the styles. So right now, because the saber's on, I can't do battery level. But if I turn the saber off, I can do battery level. And that's what it'll look like when my battery's full. If I pull down the power level, that's what it'll look like when it's not quite half. And then if you have a low battery, that's what that effect looks like. And if you want to do a different effect and test it, you can just come down here and toggle. So let's say we just do the location, green to red, and then we test it. So you'll see that's what that one looks like. And then if I have a medium battery, and if I have a full battery. And the battery level effect is time, so you can actually activate it and drag your battery down, but it'll fade itself out. Now, while my saber's off, currently I don't have a Preon effect chosen, so there's no option to preview it. But if I want to choose a Preon, I can choose one of the Preon effects. Preons in OS6 from my library auto time to your preon.wave file. So I default them here, but if you have a longer or a shorter Preon sound, the effects actually time themselves to that. So in this case here, it's set for a Preon of about 4,000 milliseconds, or 4 seconds. So if I do the Preon effect, that's what it'll look like. And right now it is set to run on Preon color, which I had for white. If I want to turn that to, say, a red, I can preview it. And that's what it would look like in red, because there is some color change. Now, if you had, say, a longer Preon effect, so say we go up to 6,000, you'll actually see it will now time itself to that. And that's the runtime. And then if you deactivate, you don't have the Preon effect. And then another thing, actually, we're going to choose let's go into a blue version. So that kind of gives us a purple, because this is using the flame gradient. So actually, let me grab a different style. Let's grab one of these guys. We'll do an unstable pulse in blue. So the other thing is I've changed how the buttons here work. So melt is an interactive, or it responds to twist angle. So if I do a melt effect, you'll see here, but if you change the angle, you actually see it does change the colors. So this lets you see, and this has intensity melt. So it'll actually also start, the longer it runs, the more intense it becomes, and it becomes a fire, and then you can end it. And then we can also do, let's see, we have different blast options we're able to look at. So if we come and build out like some random blast effects, and I'm just going to choose a couple quick for our purposes. So this randomly selects blast effects. That way your blast effects aren't always the same every time you do them. And then we can do blasting. You'll see you'll get all these different blast effects happening, and they happen all over the place based on everything that's involved. And then lastly would be something like our shimmer blade. So that's hiding down here somewhere. There we go. So the shimmer blade, actually I'm going to do, I prefer the shimmer blade in silver. So while the shimmer blade is sitting still, it actually is just a static color. It doesn't do anything. But if you add a little bit of swing, so if you move it, it starts to get this shimmering effect. And the faster you move it, the more it gets. And then if you return, so with swing speed, acceleration and speed are based on where you're clicking and when. So right now it's swinging medium speed, but if I go back to no swing, it actually takes the blade a little while to settle itself back in. So you can actually view that. And that's if you want to do like a half swing. If you want to do full power swing, that's what this button's for. And as long as you hold the swing button, it's thinking you're swinging. So you can hold it for a long time. It'll actually cause it to seem like it's a longer effect, which means it'll last longer, or you could just do a quick click. So if I hold it and let go, it actually adds more momentum to the blade, so it takes it longer to settle, versus if I just click it quick, it'll settle back quicker. But this lets you see how that shimmer blade interacts, and it's meant to, as soon as you have even a little bit of movement, it starts getting a shimmering effect. So it's meant to be any movement at all triggers it, but obviously really fast swings trigger it the most. And with swing speed, because of how acceleration works, you want to do the clicks. You can drag it, but you want to do the clicks because it's meant to be quick swing and stop. And so those are the main new controls built in, along with the ability to preview other blades types. So you can also, if you choose other blades, if you choose a secondary blade, we actually shrink the effect. So you can see what it would look like on a side blade. And we actually cut the number of pixels in here so it's more applicable. So this is a 20 pixel preview. If you choose crystal chamber, it's going to do it as a 2 pixel preview. So you can see that. And this one is actually previewing the on behaviors. Right now it's set for Kyber flow up. So that's the effect you're seeing there. It's not actually showing the shimmer blade. And then we also have the accents. So the accents can be in a, this is set up as a 5 pixel strip. There's also options to do a 10 pixel strip or a single pixel. And you can toggle, technically you can toggle the preview from here. The options below, though, are dependent upon the button you press. So if you choose main blade, it's going to give you the main blade options. If you choose accents, even if you switch this preview to main blade, your options to set up the blade are still going to be for the accent. Now, you can use any style for any blade type. You can use a main blade on an accent. You can use an accent style on a main blade. It's just really what is the expected behavior in terms of effects and controls. And certain effects are designed only for your main blade, whereas they wouldn't work on a crystal chamber accent, so they don't appear. But basically, you can toggle the view from here at any time. It automatically, the library automatically selects based on which of these buttons you press. But the options in that enhancement screen are controlled by which of these buttons you press. So if you choose an accent, but then preview it as a main blade, you're going to have limited options based on the library thinking that it is actually an accent. But I'm going to do separate videos on the other new stuff, just because this already ran a little bit long, so definitely check those out.